What then is the sentient sourdough starter's realm? Hospitality.
Oh,
Hospitality.
yes. Brilliant.
The sentient sourdough starters, a ruler of the realm of hospitality, because he makes
that's brilliant. That's awesome.
This ain't your grandmother's dusty old poetry book. Fall in, bookworm maggots. This is Poetry Bootcamp, third Friday of every month on the Poets at War Creative Network.
For men grow weary of fairyland when the dragon is a dream, and tire of the talking bird in the tree, the singing fish in the stream, and the wandering stars grow stale, and the wonder is stiff with scorn. For this is the honor of fairyland and the following of the horn.
Brendan, getting back to you, what do you know about homeschool Harry Potter so far?
I know that you spent a ton of time working on the map. I know that you have some that you're making pivotal shifts.
A Freudian
in
shift.
history. In the historical shenanigans of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, it's
Bit of a blur.
kind of.
That's okay. This episode is...
I also know about your villain. I know about your villainess.
Okay, yes.
I know
Anastasia
that you have sentient sourdough starter.
Yes.
Because of course you do, you homesteaders.
Yep. So Anastasia Rosella, you know about her.
It's got to be the greatest insult I've ever heard.
You homesteader. It's almost as good as Doug Wilson's takes calling them prairie muffins, right? Yeah, you prairie muffins.
Yeah. That's right up there with I hope you step on a Lego. And I'd say if you're a gamer, I'd say your game was cancer, but cancer actually kills people.
Well, okay then. So, Alex, do you want to start catching him up? And Brendan, you stop him whenever to clarify or to add ideas. You might as well begin adding ideas now that you're being thrown in, and we can start working on adding you into everything we're doing. Daniel, feel free to jump in if you feel need to as well. It's open conversation.
I'll try to mostly avoid just randomly jumping in unless I have something to say.
Okay, sounds good to me either way.
Thank you. Okay, so the core story of the poem, as far as we can tell, it was a bad idea, says sit up. The core story of the poem, as far as we can tell so far, is that in this country, which is a relatively large country based off of kind of German culture in America, but also a little bit of French, a little bit of English, based off of our historical shenanigans that you were referring to earlier. The Christian government has started to kind of err more on the not progressive side, but more maybe mechanistic side, and has started to bolster their public school system. They have started a public school system decades, centuries ago, and they now have they now have a relatively thriving government school system. Currently, at the time of the story, the head of that government school system is Dr. Anastasia Rosella, who you already said that you were aware of, knew about, so I'm not going to go into her backstory or anything along those lines. But she has been trying to figure out how she can limit the external factors that she believes are hampering the continuing progress of the country. One of the problems. What?
The glorious motherland.
Yes, exactly. So she has identified one of those problems as these rogue homeschoolers. She doesn't hate them. She doesn't hate even the general concept of people making sure that their children get the education that is in line with them. But she also believes that the school system is a very good thing and that the institution is being well taken care of, and that all of the issues that the homeschoolers talk about are not actually issues, and they need to kind of get with the program. Everything that they're worried about is not actually happening, and so she's the one in control. She isn't doing any of those things, so it should be fine. And one of the ways that she has decided to, along with the board of the entire country's education system, one of the ways that she has decided to try to merge the homeschoolers and the public schoolers is by making homeschoolers in each county, was it parish, I think was the term that we decided to use
I
there,
think we decided on parish,
eligible.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we decided on parish. Each parish homeschoolers are eligible for the exchange student program, which moves people from one county to another over the course of a year, so that they can experience different cultures. Very much like the international exchange student programs that we have in modern day, but inside of a country, because they recognize that there's multiple cultures inside of their country, and they want kids to be well versed in the entire culture. One of the families that's picked as a trial for this is the Rutt family, and that's going to be the main family of the entire story. The Rutts are, and now I actually need to pull up my notes. Give me 1 second.
That's pretty good with that.
If Joshua has anything else to add, then
well, the magic system is going to be a major thing to get into based on the last episode. We have a lot more as to the metaphysics of the magic system. It's not. I would argue it's not hard, nor is it soft. It has some very hard elements. It has some very soft elements. But I don't know if you agree with that, guys.
I would say it's more. It's soft in what it can do, but it's harder in the how you do it.
Yes, that's decent.
I would argue that it has to be a very hard magic system on the writing side, but
Yes.
we're presenting it in the world as more soft.
Yes,
It
less.
has all of the aesthetics of a soft magic system,
Right.
but we have all of the work that we have to put into that is a hard magic system.
Yes. We have the the soft part built out a lot more.
Yes.
Anyway, go ahead,
Harry
Brendan.
Potter. Homeschool Harry Potter.
Well, I would just say that you know what the difference between a soft and a hard magic system is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's how much you tell the reader.
Right. Yes. Ultimately, yes.
I know that it's more than that, but but the sort of I don't know how to phrase this. The point of a soft magic system is that the feeling is like, how does the magic feel to the to the reader, to the experience, that whole deal. That I think is sort of more of the like Hello Future Me has a great video on soft magic. Just go watch that.
Yeah.
If you are listening, if you actually listen to this, just go watch that video and you'll understand my thoughts on the magic.
It's a fantastic video. It's a very, very good video.
Okay. Sorry, you may continue. I just I think
no problem.
Yeah.
So the main family, their name are the Ruts, and they are headed by the father Nicodemus and his wife Felissa Lynn, also known generally as Lynn. Nicodemus is kind of the mad scientist type character. Think Maurice from Disney's Beauty and the Beast, but with the added power of magic on his side.
Maurice is harmless.
Yeah. So like he's like everybody in the town is like, he's a little bit weird, a touch goofy, and okay, he can be over there. We like him. He's always fun to hang around, but we're not really sure about how sane he actually is.
Right.
Though he is actually entirely sane. He loves his family well, provides for them, and teaches his children with everything that they could possibly want to know. Or make sure that they are taught everything that they can possibly want to know. His wife, Felissa Lynn, is much more of a practical-minded person. He's got his head up in the clouds, and she always has her feet firmly planted on the ground. Practical the way that I have it written down in the Bible is that she is the practical counterbalance to her husband Nico's occasionally wild imagination and inventive instinct. So you've got a good opposites attract there. Then they have 7 children. They range from 20 to 2. Their oldest child is Ahaziah. He is a excellent blacksmith who unfortunately suffered a accident whenever he was 13 that ended up messing up some stuff in his head to where he's now, the best way to say it would be slow. He doesn't speak much. He doesn't seem to have the quick-wittedness that he once had, but he is still excellent. He's still incredibly talented and skilled at his chosen art, which is blacksmith.
Yes, Daniel. Oh, you're muted, sir. There we go. He's getting it.
One could say he's developmentally challenged.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I've been. My mom would whoop my butt if I said it any other way.
Okay. Developmentally challenged then. Works with me. So the next is Zeliana, or Zell. And she is the stereotypical quick-witted, fast-talking young woman. The way that I have it written down is generally carrying the mild manner and practical mind of her mother, most would never guess that Zell got all of the word count that Ahaziah lost. With a tongue sharper than one of her brother's blades, Zell is a force to be reckoned with when someone crosses her, or her family, or anyone she loves, or likes, or agrees with.
She's
Or
it's
it's
a
too
prejudiced girl. Right. Yeah.
Yes.
1 sec.
Not a problem.
121.
This chair is the most comfy thing in the world. Whether I'm actually sitting up and working or sitting back and chilling, I am amazed at how good it is at everything I could ask for in a chair.
Debbie put some notes at the bottom, like she read through the Bible and put some notes at the bottom
Yeah.
of each of these.
Yeah.
And she, for Zell, said, character flaw, problem with gossip, question mark, needs to think before she speaks. What do we think about that? I actually kind of like have the problem with gossip.
Yeah, I agree with
as
the
I come to
gossip
that.
thing. I think that
Yeah.
she's too smart to, unless she's flustered, she's not going to be like speaking without thinking. She's too smart for that.
That can be fun though. Like,
Yes,
because
if she gets
didn't we say
flustered,
that we
yeah.
wanted
Well, hold
didn't we
on,
say that we
hold
wanted
on.
a romance
Go
with
ahead,
her
Brendan.
and one of the guys at Hugh Vernon?
You can have a smart person that still speaks without thinking.
Yes, you can.
In fact,
But I'm saying it's not the
arguably,
default.
that's more dangerous.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's arguably more dangerous because they have so much backlog of just like built up like data, information, and things like that they can run off of that and just assume without thinking.
Okay.
Right? You can make that work really well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure gossip is a good idea, depending on how much you want their parents to respect, like you want them to respect their parents, and how much you want like that.
Well, it wouldn't be like malicious gossip. It would be getting caught up in gossip. I think that's an Achilles heel sort of a thing.
I think it would be getting. I think it would be getting caught up in gossip. I think that works especially well with her being practically minded. Like,
yes,
to gossip for the sake of gossip. She's gossip. She knows what's going on around town.
Right. Okay.
That type of
I
thing
agree.
is like the angle that she comes at. And we'll deal with that as we actually get into writing the poem and seeing where that arises in the story and all of that jazz.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I do think that your idea that her getting flustered, or like whenever she is flustered, she speaks without thinking,
Yes.
would work really funnily with. Didn't we say that we wanted her to have a romance with one of the guys at Hugh
later
Vernon?
on. Yeah, have a Hugh Vernon sort of character that she kind of falls in love with, who's actually like I think I recommended Phoebus from, not specifically him, but like Phoebus from Hunchback of Notre Dame as a character that's like, he's a jock, but we're not doing like the subversive thing. Like, he is a good guy, but he's sort of like you have an isn't he a good guy thing for a little bit, and then he proves himself kind of thing. Yeah. That sort of deal.
Yeah. So it could be really funny to have her get flustered with that.
Indeed. So continue moving on.
Okay. By the way, she's 18. So Ahaziah is 20. Hugh, the next one, is 16.
H-U-G-H.
Yes, H-U-G-H. Like Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
Oh, Jackman. Yes. So he is named after the local hero, also the namesake of the school in the parish, which is the Hugh Vernon Magical Academy. So I had a heck of a time trying to characterize him properly in my paragraph. So I want to see if this actually gets it through.
I think I have a very clear view of him, so I will correct as need be.
Awesome. The youngest of the first set of the Rhett children, Hugh is a talented fighter, if a bit brash. He is a fierce defender of his family, even though a fair amount of the time he can't stand them. Hugh used to be very close to Ahaziah and Zell, but when Ahaziah's accident occurred, he was forced to step up and take the responsibility of the oldest boy. This was hard enough for him, but on top of that, Zell took over the day-to-day tasks for their mom, so he was given a large amount of responsibility but no authority. This caused most of his attitude issues.
Little bit further, that's very good. A little bit further into that, he's very much sort of an Edmund situation. He is very, like I said, very sad about his brother and has a lot of pent up anger toward his parents for letting it happen, for God for letting it happen, for all of these various things. So he tends to act out and be more of a loner than he would normally be, if things went a different way. and he wants to do good, he wants to do right, but he also has this thing that's like, why bother? I'm never going to be good as Ahaziah was before he was hurt. I'm never going to be as smart as Zell. They're not going to listen to me because I'm their little brother. Parents aren't going to listen to me because I'm younger than them. And so, like, what's the point of me even being here? I don't fit into this picture whatsoever. And so he tends to kind of be a loner as a result. And he,
angst.
Yeah. Yes, angst, dude. Yes, but it's yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff in mind for him, but yeah.
Yep. And I think that he'll be a really interesting character to write for in the midst of the story. I was just having a really hard time actually characterizing him in the sum of a paragraph.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Okay. On to the second set of the children. The twins, Cornelius and Caradicus. Cornelius first. Cornelius is very close with his twin brother.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. These are the ones who will get transferred to the Hugh Academy through the exchange program, and then have to work through all of the issues that they have there. These are the characters that we're actually following in the story. We've got a little bit more work on them than we have on everybody else.
Yep.
Cornelius is very close to his twin brother Caradicus, and is very rarely seen without him. He is one of few people who easily keeps up with the genius of his brother in the intellectual realm. He particularly excels in philosophy and mathematics, and is remarkably awful in written grammar. But one place he significantly excels Caradicus is in oratory. Cornelius is an excellent speaker, powerful, persuasive, and always ready to talk someone's ear off. He's dyslexic. He can see, these are just notes that I have underneath that. He's dyslexic. He can see obscenely complex patterns from a distance very easily, which is something that Joshua told us last episode was one of the things that certain forms of dyslexia can have, is that even though they can't make out like word shift around and stuff like that, they're very good at pattern identification. And so we're just taking that one out, drawing it out further for Cornelius. His motivation is to slowly chip away at evil in the world by doing what he can in the moment. He wants to change the world by small everyday actions, kindness, speaking truth, building friendships, helping people, etc., and by convincing people around him to do the same. He often sees the system as a massive obstacle to his everyday mission, and that causes most of the friction in his life. He's very mission-oriented as opposed to goal-oriented. Like, what's the task at hand versus what is the goal that I'm pushing for?
Right.
And then his twin brother, Caradicus. Caradicus is possibly the most brilliant individual currently living. He breezes past advanced mathematical calculations and alchemical formulas with incredible speed. He can author reports about the same with even greater swiftness and generally doesn't need an edit pass. He is an entirely decent fiction writer, but if you were to ask him what his greatest asset is, his response would be as unexpected as it is immediate. His twin brother, Cornelius. He is pedantic to the extreme, like extremely grammar Nazi level pedantic. His motivation is to be able to fully utilize his talents to better the world, particularly to get to a place where he doesn't have to worry about the ins and outs of everyday life, so he can work, so that his work can get all of his focus. And so once he is at the top, he can fix all of the issues that he sees. But what I have written here is that he wants to make the system his asterisk female dog asterisk and believes in his own ability to do so.
Yes.
And he's very goal oriented.
Yes.
He is trying to trying to get he sees the goal clearly, he knows what it is, and he's just trying to get there as fast as possible without taking time to worry about the individual steps that it might take to get there.
Right. So
I think we have a really good foil set up between the two of them.
Yes. The shorthand version of these two characters is Cornelius is Daniel Reed playing Phineas from Phineas and Ferb, whereas Caradicus is Aaron Reed playing Ferb. That's the shorthand.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, that's Cornelius and Caraticus. Any thoughts on them before we continue, if you have any?
No, you've got a good set of characters.
Okay.
Okay.
Finish.
Two more left.
Yep.
Kaith, 7 years old. Voted most likely to murder someone without thinking twice by the Ruff Family Council, Cornelius and Caraticus' informal decision-making body. 3 years in a row, Kaith is a force to be reckoned with. She is simply different from the rest of her family. She finds a storm cloud for every silver lining. She finds a dead fish in every stream and starts to dissect it. You will never hear any Rut say that things couldn't get any worse, because Kaith will always point out at least one way that it could be.
She is how old?
7.
She is 7. She is creepy gothic Eeyore at 7 years old.
Yes.
As you do.
Right. So that is Kaith.
And then the youngest
Kithe. Kithe,
Yes,
right? Yeah. Yeah. Kaith.
And then the youngest child, who is 2, is Tomothy. 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 Voted most likely to accidentally kill someone and get away with it by the RFC. Tomothy has caused the most near heart attacks of any of the Ruts. Somehow, this 2-year-old regularly finds himself in near-death situations and lucks his way out of them. No one is quite sure how. Maybe it's his winning smile. Maybe his winning smile has charmed God himself.
So yes, Tomothy is basically Pee-wee from Popeye, if you've ever seen Pee-wee in Popeye. So,
and with maybe a little Jack sprinkled in.
Yeah, a little bit Jack. Yeah. So, all right. So we've got our characters done. What else you got in the Bible?
I've started working on the setting, but I've only got 1 page or so of that. But I can read through that, and then we can riff based off of what we have seen from there.
Well, we need to fill him in on the metaphysics of the magic as well, which we can do from memory as best as we can. I remember a good bit of it, but
okay. Actually, yeah, we should start with the magic. We should start with the magic because that's the core of like the differences that we have here.
Why don't you start? So, I'll clarify.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about the magic in my world before, right? The world that I've created, right, Brendan?
Mm-hmm.
How it's based off of beauty and how that works.
Yes. Roughly.
Okay. In this world, magic is based off of order. Patterns and bringing the order of God, because God is a God of order and not of chaos, to the world. And the more that the world is, the more that the world is brought into line with the will of God, the world becomes. The world almost exactly the same history as ours. Like, down to all of the books of the Bible were written the same, basically the same geography, slightly different. Like, you've seen my map that I've drawn for the world, but virtually the same. Up until Pentecost. Whenever the Spirit comes down, we have a significantly more noticeable healing of the world than what happened in the Pentecost in the world that we actually live in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
And that healing that the Spirit brought is basically the bringing about of a very powerful natural magic that can be tapped into by bringing about order. So, like a flower garden that is intentionally created to be beautiful has more order to it and therefore would be more magical than, say, a field of wildflowers. Even though there would be some beauty to it, even though there is order in each flower, the order that is brought to it by humanity and turning it into a garden actually increases the magical energy of that place. We started to see the effects of this magic as early as the I think I wrote the reign of Vespasian in the Bible, so like right after the fall of Jerusalem in AD 70.
Right.
The stuff. That's the basis of the idea for the magic system. Did I
the other thing
Joshua
is
or Daniel?
Yeah, okay. So the other half of that is the order that we're talking about is essentially like the mana that you can pull from to do whatever it is that you want to do. There are still going to be, and this is where we need more work, there are going to be methods by which you can harness the mana and then use the mana, right? But essentially you create order and that creates mana. You have and can store the mana in yourself up to a certain level. There might be storage vessels. We haven't really talked about this yet. Other storage vessels besides humans for that mana, but we can change the name of it, whatever, but it's energy, it's mana, it's whatever you want to call it. So the big difference that so the homeschoolers are coming from the perspective of a single first of all, a single person singing a song perfectly actually has better magic to it than a giant choir that is just kind of sort of in sync, for example. But if you have a choir
or is simply singing the notes on the page,
right, or is just singing the notes on the page, there's nothing from the heart hasn't aligned, we don't have all these other sorts of things like that create the beauty and the order together, right? So you have you can have a single person singing a song perfectly with their whole heart be more powerful than a choir just singing the notes on the page.
Because they are ordered all the way down. Their loves are ordered.
Right.
Maybe we could hashtag Ordo Morris in the title
and
get some of that JD Vance Twitter action.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But the other thing is there's the order that actually works best is the order that is in line with God. So you can create an order that's not in line with God's will, and
it will have power.
Kind of sort of have some power, right? But not as well as if you're in the right place at the right time in providence, in God's providence, there will be more mana there than there will be trying to create the order for yourself, right? And so there's a metaphor that a lot of people use, and Karaticus absolutely hates because he's pedantic and Thomistic in the way that he thinks about stuff, basically. And that's the idea of a stream. So God's will is a stream that a current that flows through, a river. And people who try to create their own are trying to create their own stream in the shallows and are never going to have the power of the stream, right? So that's just a metaphor that is used in universe. And like I said, Karaticus hates it because it's theologically inaccurate to him.
It's not accurate.
Right. So that's sort of the magic system at the moment. We're still fleshing it out as to how it is specifically used in instances. But that's the metaphysic of the reality.
Yep.
Thoughts, questions, things that you would change or add or whatever.
Aside from literally the entirety of the mechanics of the magic system, we're aware that we're missing that.
He's thinking. It's a lot to take in at once. Now the wheels in his hair has been turning.
So I know y'all know me as a world builder because that's how I constantly introduce myself.
Yes.
Yep.
But at a certain point, the mic has to drop, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
You need to there's a certain point where you have to just like, I don't want to say pull up your bootstraps, but like you need to get stuck into the actual story itself.
Eventually, we need to buckle in and actually start writing the poetry.
Yeah.
We're I'm the one who's been pushing. Once again, world builder
For building
here.
it out.
Yeah, I'm the one who's been pushing for pushing it off. But I've specifically not been pushing off because of world building stuff. I've been pushing off because I think that we need more solid concepts for our characters.
I don't
Which
mind
we have,
the
which
stuff.
we'd have them for the family, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, but you also need to know what the heck is going to happen.
Yes.
And while everything can connect and can interconnect, I think you need to make sure that whatever you take the time to build, that what you build serves the story.
What we build, because you're in it too.
Sure, well, still. Okay, so we have all of this, like, oh my gosh, so much.
You overwhelmed Brendan. Good job, Alex.
Why do you have 8 characters?
They're not necessarily every episode characters.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
long-term thinking. The main characters are Cornelius and Caraticus, and it's going to be mainly about their everyday at school, and we're going to, over the course of a season, have moments with the family and moments with Anastasia, Rosella, and the other faculty. But the main story is about Cornelius and Caraticus and their regular daily lives, and that's going to bloom and blossom over, hopefully, several seasons into more of a big picture drama as to the nature of schooling in the world.
Yep.
That's sort of the direction it's going. But we are mainly focused on Cornelius and Caraticus.
Which is why we have significantly more written on Cornelius and Caraticus than we have on anybody else.
Yes.
The reason that we have the rest of them is because we wanted to make sure that we had hey leftists, I'm about to use some of your buzzwords. We wanted to make sure that we had a good representation of various types of people, so that we could accurately represent how so that we could accurately represent how various systematic institutions allow or affect a diverse group of people.
Yes.
How'd I do, lefties? But
Okay.
I joke about the buzzwords. That is actually why we have that, though, because the institutional school system is going to affect like a dark 7-year-old completely differently than it will
whenever she gets to the school. Yeah.
Exactly. The 11-year-old who is ready to take on the world with his bare fists.
Right. Okay. So let's slow this down just a second. The main outline in my mind, and I have voiced this on some of the episodes for the first season roughly, is essentially the boys are given the opportunity to go to the school. Technically, everyone's sort of kind of given the opportunity to go to the school, but they're specifically asked to go to the school based upon reputation. The family's reputation, their reputation, etc., etc. Because they make things and sell things at the market, and word has traveled. And so Anastasia Rosella's gone, asked people throughout the countryside in various places through her cronies to find people that will well represent the school, and bolster the numbers. So they're given this opportunity the parents are unsure. They want what's best for them. And they basically say the boys are really smart. They need to figure out what they're going to do. So we're going to help them. We're going to talk with them. Cornelius is less interested, but still he's more morbidly curious about the situation, I think. And then Karaticus is like, yes, please. I want to ace every single test, and then everyone will have to listen to me because I am the smartest. Right? And so basically, they agree to go, and that starts our journey. They're dealing with bullies. They're dealing with people in school. They're dealing with the system because they're homeschoolers who think outside of it, and they're suddenly thrust into this system. Meanwhile, they're still going home and talking to their parents, but they're living this life where, you know, it's formerly homeschooled kids that are suddenly in this public Christian school sort of situation. And they're dealing with all of those things. End of season. I do you recall some of my thoughts on end of season, Alex? I'm remembering very vaguely.
Particularly.
Okay.
I do not but keep talking. And
I know that we had specific stuff with Zell that was going to begin pushing toward other rut children and other people being brought into the system. And I think that we were looking at Cornelius and Karaticus uncovering some of the nefarious things that are going on, specifically in regard to overarching order that actually sort of it's the forced order that is going to slowly be introduced. They become privy to the fact that these laws are not going to just be invitations in the future, right? And so they're going to they're conflicted on whether they should start blowing the whistle, sort of thing, toward the end of the season. And we're starting to deal with the parents being brought in to talk to people behind closed doors, you know, about some of the practices that the unethical practices that are beginning slowly and the ditches that they could lead to. I think at this point, maybe Zell is just in town square starting to get the idea that she wants to go because of the guy that she likes, that she meets in town or whatever. And the twins are like, no, you shouldn't go, you know? And so there's conflict building there, and we'll have some kind of big, I don't know exactly what yet, but some kind of big cliffhanger at the end of the season that possibly comes to litigation at that point, at which time the Ruts will be in the thick of it. So that's sort of where I'm seeing a season 1 arc overall, right? And we can we need more sub antagonists. It can't be Anastasia Rosella every time. She's not going to be there every time. We're going to have her lackeys. We're going to have bullies. We're going to have other characters and side characters that they meet with and that sort of a thing. But we need to build out the school audience after we've established the family, because this is pro homeschool sort of situation. So I mean, it's pro homeschool, but it's not preachy. It's like, I want to get into, and that's another reason to have you here, for the public school, like, family in quotes, like the people that they're going to go to school with regularly, right? And develop friendships and develop frenemies and all the rest. So that's sort of what I see as the first season. For one season, for reference, about 10 episodes, roughly. We're kind of following my thing on that. We can change it as need be, but about 10 episodes, 10 poems each, sort of a thing.
Okay. All right. So
Hey, sweetie.
You
Kissy's
have
here.
all of
She's
this
flooping.
background.
Flooping. That might be the first time we've had a floop on a show. You doing okay?
That is probably the first time we had a floop on the show. Okay, so here's what I think your top, our top 3 priorities need to be.
Mm-hmm.
1, figure out characters that are actually in the story and aren't just background family characters that provide context for the actual 2 characters, Cornelius and Caracteric, or whatever his name is, Carathras, whoever.
Caraticus.
Yeah. Carathras. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's close enough for government to work. So Cornelius and so they have a public school liaison. Okay, so they're going to public school.
Mm-hmm.
They have a public school friend who is guiding them through this.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's the next character you need.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot emphasize this enough. Need to get.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can have people in public school. There are a number of. Is there anyone here who went to public school?
You,
sir.
Okay. All right. Time to talk about the real world. All right. So in public
I heard
school,
that TV show sucked.
In public school, you have unofficial tiers of students. You have official tier and unofficial tier. The official tier, at least where I went, is the class level. So if you were in the smart class levels, usually those are level called English 1 or whatever, but in math, for example, if you're on the fast track, you took pre-algebra in 8th grade, which let you take algebra in 9th. Which let you you took algebra in 8th grade, geometry in 9th grade, which led to something else, and then you could leading to AP calculus, right? AP calculus is the upper that you're taking in senior year. That's that track. If you're not taking that track, you can still get to some of the lower level classes, but you get to them later. Okay, that's the official level. But then you have the unofficial level. And the unofficial level is something that no one talks about openly because 90% of the time it doesn't super matter, but it kind of matters because you're going to be with your friends.
Okay,
that
real quick.
Unofficial level.
Real quick, before we continue, this is the parallel timeline is the 1700s. In what is ostensibly,
then I have no idea.
In what is ostensibly Germany. And well, we're still figuring this out, right? This is the
public school system didn't exist in the 1700s,
right? It does in this world, and it is beginning early.
Well, not quite early. It's relatively well established.
And you need to stop calling this homeschool Harry Potter because Harry Potter takes place in the modern world.
Well, it's not the official name. That's the working title.
World.
That's the working title. That's the working title.
So this isn't homeschoolers are the weirdos and the public school system is public school is rising up.
This is at this point in time, the public school system, the way that I'm picturing it at least, probably has 80% or 90% of city kids are going to public school or are going to the public school.
There's no way that that's happening. If you are
city kids.
Hold on. The reason that this has happened, in this parallel universe is because there was and this is another history thing that we didn't get to. So one of the biggest things that caused outside of the Library of Alexandria and all that stuff that happened in Rome, the the other big one is the fact that the Catholics and the Protestants couldn't come together during the stuff that happened leading up to the Reformation. Okay, there was a lot of stuff lost, and the Catholics were looking for control, but they were also fighting the Muslims. In our situation, the Calvinists and the Catholics actually did come together to put Islam to bed, and actually were able to take a lot of the what do you call it, the medieval classical theology into the future together and work out a lot of the reformational issues in the Catholic Church. So we have a one church kind of situation. Yeah, you got your Eastern Orthodox still in this situation.
That doesn't matter.
Still happen.
No,
I think it does.
Stop. No, it doesn't.
Okay,
because
why?
Because we need to talk about technology level.
Right.
You're in the 1700s.
Okay.
You
American
like,
Revolution time. Late 1700s.
Late 1700s, American Revolution. Okay, we don't have cars. We don't have vehicles.
Correct.
Magic is going to supplement some of this. So you can do sort of a Magitech, more future than 1700s, but not actually 17. So it's not actually late 1700s, but like, you know, you can do some stuff with that. But I would argue that like okay, yes, that theology and that history, yes, it's a backdrop, but what, like, public school education did not come around until when?
1886 in Massachusetts.
1886 in Massachusetts. Okay.
So we're 100 years off.
Right. But why does public school come into existence?
That is a good question where we do have some answers, but it's not fully fleshed out. That might need to be more fleshed out.
Okay. The reason out because no. Because if public school is new, yes, that means there has to be 100 years new. Education.
Yeah, about 100 years new. So it's existed. Okay, but it is okay. So church and state still, because of Reformation was not the crazy thing that it was. We still have a church state, Holy Roman Empire-ish sort of a situation. Okay, so they have established educational centers in the cities for the children. This is not public school in the way you're thinking of it. This is not Dewey stuff, okay? But it's slowly morphing into that. This is more of the classical education model in cities run by the church, which is also a part of the state, okay? And it is slowly shifting to a more mechanistic worldview. This is during Enlightenment time. This is the Enlightenment infecting the state church thing. Okay, so take public school out of it for a second, and just imagine this is the classical school becoming the public school.
Well, yeah, but then I have nothing to offer, because all of the like sociological stuff that I was going to talk about doesn't apply in a 1800s.
It might not apply directly, but I'd like to hear what you have to say so that we can see what applications we can draw from it, if anything. I don't think it's going to be a completely dry well.
Brendan, you were the only one of us to receive a formal education. We all received informal homeschool education.
But this is my point. Okay, so in the that social hierarchy that I was going to talk about, you have the kids who are really popular and really good kids. I knew one. I did a musical with him because I asked him, hey, you do musical theater. We're missing people at our church. Would you come? And he said, absolutely. I'd love to.
Right.
Like, that's how good a dude he was. And everyone loved him, except for people who were jealous of him.
Right.
Then you have sort of the upper middle class area, and then you have the lower middle class, at least in the school I was at, right? And the proportions change, I would imagine, from different, like we weren't in the inner city. We were in a relatively wealthy suburb, but not super wealthy.
Right.
Everyone acted wealthier than they were.
Right.
We're at that level of wealth, right? But, you know, the lower middle class were the people who didn't try. They figured out that as long as a D passes, they could put in just enough effort to get a D, and that was fine, right? They didn't care about their future. Then you had this echelon that worried, but also wanted to, you know, be with their cliques and stuff. And then you had the upper level that was like the future CEOs of companies, right? You know, and some of those people were really good, you know. But in this genre, especially up here, but in this genre, you get people like me,
right,
who were public schooled, but I learned more from my dad.
Yes.
Yep.
Hey, guess what
Because
that sounds like?
Because dad taught me things that like actually were applicable, and he molded my writing.
Yes.
By having me bring stuff to him and have him edit things.
Yep.
And he would edit it, then he would show me what he would have me change, and then he had me go.
Right.
So but I was public schooled the whole time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a liaison, you can go two routes. You can either go the unintended nefarious public schooler who is brainwashing your protagonist, or brainwashing the protagonist accidentally by being a cheerleader, and the protagonists are like, actually, I don't get what this isn't.
I was actually thinking that exact same thing whenever you were saying that. I was like, oh, they should absolutely have a cheerleader do that.
So it's either a cheerleader who would be one of those upper level nice people, who is pro school, who's in every single, or not every single, who's in a lot of clubs, who's getting A's in all their classes, who's in the top tier of classes. They've got everything going for them.
Yes.
You can do that. Or you could have someone who's sort of lower to mid tier.
Mm-hmm.
They're not necessarily getting A's in everything, and they're not necessarily in every class, but they're doing okay.
Yeah.
But they're being supplemented at home by their parents, who are maybe friends of the homeschool family mom. And so they're like Ron Weasley to Harry Potter, right?
Right.
They're in the system, but they're not necessarily 100% for the system, right? You know, they're there, but they're there because they're like, right now this is the only option we've got.
Right.
You know, and it's not that bad, I don't think. And then they start learning it's that bad, right? So for whoever your supplemental character is, it needs to be either a cheerleader or a
Ron Weasley.
A Ron Weasley that is taught also at home by a smart person who just doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
You need to figure out that character.
There's one other option I'm thinking of that's not particularly better to me than the first option. I really like your first option, but I'm going to throw it out there just because. And that is somebody who is excellent and working their way up the system. This is more of a Malfoy-ish, but not really. Someone who is working their way up the system, who is doing as best as they can, and they actually have disdain for the twins because of their social standing, their position, all that other kind of stuff. And he kind of treats them as a burden, but he does the job anyway, and they have to deal with it accordingly. And when they start showing him up, he starts getting jealous, causing all kinds of mayhem.
You can do that. I would argue that in order to do that, what you should do is you should provide an incentive program for people who help these in. So maybe they are in a lower level class.
Yeah. Okay.
And So they are getting they're getting extra stuff for them from the system somehow. I don't know how,
Right.
but they're getting extra stuff from them for doing the liaison work, right?
Right.
You could have that be an option. You could have dumb, low social standing character brings in the twins, and the twins are what are the words? And the twins are therefore thought low because of their association with that character.
Right. Right.
But that's a very common trope amongst particularly like high school / bully movies and or
Right.
anime.
Right. Yeah.
You see that a lot. Not sure you really want to go that route, but that would be pitting the public school against the homeschoolers, which I don't think you want to do given the timeline that you've set and given the inherent
specifics of the
threat
situation.
you want public school to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Because public school is new. And the threat isn't that public school is going to eat homeschool, because there's no reason public school should eat homeschool even after only 100 years.
Right.
Yep.
100 years is a long time for kids. That's what? 4, 8, 12, 6. No. How are we talking a 12 level grade system?
I
Or are
think
we
that would
talking
make
an
sense.
8 level grade system?
I think 12 would make sense for our situation, just to keep it accessible, but I'm not opposed to other options.
The other option is you have an 8 level grade system and you have parents continuing to teach basically elementary.
Right.
And then you go middle through high school.
Right.
That's how I would do that if you wanted to, but you could also do a 12 level grade system. Right? Maybe
it feels like a natural fit into the story. I don't see why it wouldn't work that way.
What, 8th grade?
I need to revise the thing that I previously said. Compulsory education began in 1886 in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Public education was a project going back to pre-Constitution America, because one of the things that the founding fathers said, because there were a bunch of 20-year-old nerds. Yeah, not in Europe, but in America specifically. It goes back to pre-Constitution America because they understood the importance of giving everyone in America a classical education.
Right.
So I need to revise that. Compulsory education began in 1886, and by 1986, homeschooling was outlawed.
So this is the precursor to compulsory.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Right, but the problem,
I'm not saying that changes anything. I'm just revising the historical record.
Yes,
I feel it's my duty to do so.
Anyway, go ahead, Brendan.
Fine, but we still run into an issue of school does not look the same now as it did back then.
Correct.
Yep.
Standards have drastically lowered, and even when I was going through it, and I can't.
You're not wrapping your head around the moral quandary of the story.
This is one of the reasons that I've been pushing so hard against having Anastasia Rosella being an actual villain. Right. I want her to be a very sympathetic, misguided antagonist. She absolutely believes that what she's doing is right. She's just wrong. She's not Dewey. She's not a malevolent force. She's serving the same function as Dewey, but instead of intentionally trying to cut God out of everything that he was doing, she's saying, I just think that this is a better system, and it's not.
Right. She's an Enlightenment Randian, what's the term? It starts with an M.
Objectivist.
No, objectivist, but like, what's the meritocracy kind of person?
Meritocratic. Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
meritocratic. Yeah, she's that. She's going, but she's going on enlightenment categories for meritocratic stuff. Right. She's saying that if we use all our power to organize the system, therefore we will have a better society, as opposed to organizing it the way God wants and the way that things are naturally made to be. Right? That's sort of the moral junction point that we're dealing with here. And so we're dealing with centralization being a question. We're dealing with that's something that she's pushing for, that other people are pushing back against. Dealing with the control and power and that sort of a thing, for all good intents and purposes, as opposed to what the thing is for. Right? What does God intend with the thing? And you're going to have noble savages on the other side of the spectrum, right? They're the people who believe in the noble savage, the idea that like everything is just
philosophy.
Right, Rousseauian philosophy. That's basically just like, look at all the, just let people be, let them do whatever it is they do, and everyone's going to be fine, and there's going to be bad people on that side too, right? The main point is actually being human the way God made us to be, where everybody who has real good things to give your children as far as an education is encouraged, and everyone who has something bad is discouraged, and the parents are the ones ultimately responsible for the education. Kind of show the full spectrum of things. That's kind of what we're trying to do. Not so much public school bad, homeschool good, but like centralization bad, a Randian ideas bad, Rousseauian ideas bad, right?
Christian philosophy of the centrality of the family good.
Rousseauian ideas is like Peter Pan, right? Like,
yeah,
that's the extreme on that side, and then there's the extreme where if we,
Peter Pan is anti-Rousseauian
in some ways, but they both like the noble savage. Anyway,
I'm saying the story of Peter Pan. Sorry, you were saying saying the person of Peter Pan.
I was saying the person
story.
of Peter Pan, and yeah. Anyway. So, I don't know if that helps. We do need this character that you're talking about, the sort of liaison character.
You need it.
So let's look at the two extremes, right? He can't really be the Rousseauian character because he's in the system. Not really, right?
Yep.
He could be all the way on the other Randian scale, or he could be someone who's more in line with them as far as ideas. He's not going to know all these terms, or she. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as far as it goes, I really like Brendan's, I really like the, it's not symbolism, but the picture that it paints of Brendan's first idea of having it be a cheerleader. Like this extremely peppy, pretty young girl who's like good is good in class and likes the system because she's popular in it, and is just kind of naive because of how good the system has been to her. That type of thing. I think that's a good character to be carrying them through
I agree. The one thing that
naturalization process, what's the word I'm looking for? Integration process.
Yeah. The one thing that there's not a lot of options for that character's arc. And that's the only thing that makes there are options, but I'm saying like that character's arc, to me, the most compelling would probably be she's probably very sweet on Cornelius and eventually has to make a choice between him and the system.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's immediately where my mind was going.
Yeah.
Like she could see herself as like Is she older than Karaticus and
I would
That's what I was
so.
thinking. She should be like 13 or something like that.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. She's like the babysitter almost.
Not quite the
Not
babysitter.
that old. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a year or two older.
Hold on. What? I mean, you can have. When I said cheerleader, I meant cheerleader for the system, not
Yes, we know
like
that.
actual female cheerleader.
Yeah.
Yes, we know that.
I'm aware. I'm aware. I just think that the actual
He cast it as a girl. You didn't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the actual cheerleader archetype would actually work really well for it, though, because she can represent both the allure of the system, and she a character in her own right who ends up having to confront the realities of, okay, the system's been really good to me, but it isn't good for everybody.
And also, what is this going to mean
just
for
because
my
you're
friends?
doing well? Exactly. Even just because you're doing well in it, like Karaticus is, doesn't mean that it's the best place for you. That type of thing.
Right.
And you could work fast forward in the future, because we're thinking one season a year is what we were saying, right?
If we can make it, yeah, that's the hope.
So
something like that.
If we can do that,
yeah,
then we could do. Oh yeah, and then we're doing the pros summers, right? I forgot about that.
Yes, we were talking about doing some pros summers. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then in like 3 or 4 seasons, we could legitimately have Cornelius and Karaticus come back to Hugh Vernon, because they're like season 1 they're at Hugh Vernon, season 2 they're at King's Eyrie, season 3 they're in Scotland.
You didn't mention King's Eyrie to Brendan. You want to mention King's Eyrie?
King's Eyrie is like the school. It is the model school of the system. It is in the capital. It is like half prep school and half just like massive boarding school.
Yeah.
So it's like the gold standard of what public education should be in the system.
Right.
Then they end up causing too much trouble there and get transferred to Scotland, which is actually Scotland.
Yes.
It's called Scotland.
Yes.
John Knox was there.
Right.
Scotland.
Yep. It's the only place that's like named the same thing in both places. In our world and theirs. Anyway.
Venn diagram meets.
Yeah.
So you have that. They go there in season 3, and then season 4 they come back, and she's still there, but has become significantly more disillusioned with the system than she was before. And then at that point,
but they don't trust her.
They don't trust her because of her previous life, and you could start a romance there or something along those lines.
That might work. Okay, that was the little bit of spice to it that I needed to be convinced.
Yeah.
So potential spice. Anyway.
Potentially.
What was that?
What's that?
Do we like the name Judith for her? Potentially.
Maybe.
Meh.
I have a very clear
picture of this person.
I have a very clear picture of the name Judith, because I used to work with a lady named Miss Judith. She was fantastic. I like she was great. And the picture that I have of this girl.
Evelyn?
Anyway,
it's not bad. Debbie suggests Helen.
I have a good sense of that character's work from going from like showing Karaticus and Cornelius the ropes and protecting them within the system.
Right.
Or falling outside of the system, to maturing and seeing the problems and seeing how it's treated her well, but she's starting to see the skeletons in the closet and all that stuff. And so I can definitely see her growth really clearly. I'm having trouble putting those words together, but I think we have a strong character with her.
What do you think of all this, Brendan, in general?
Yeah, how does that sound,
character?
Brendan?
I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start. I mean, we've already been. I don't know if we've been recording for an hour.
We
We've
have.
been recording for a
I
little
just
bit
thought
less
of
than an hour.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I've been recording for an hour and 22 minutes, so we'll be wrapping within the next 20 to 30.
So let's go. let's become nerds. Okay, you said that magic has something to do with order, correct?
Yes. It
Yep.
has everything to do with order. Go ahead.
So a well-ordered place is more magical
Mm-hmm.
than a disordered place.
Correct.
Yeah, correct. But in line with God's word, there can be wild places as well. If it's the more in line
Yes,
with God's
yes,
word
yes.
is more definitionally ordered than something that is ordered by man in man's way.
Well,
Anyway, go ahead.
hold on. Well, even wild places are ordered.
Right.
Yes,
Exactly.
exactly.
Yes,
That's
the point.
the point that we're trying to make.
Yes.
Order. So. Okay.
He's got an idea.
So, realms. You're not familiar with the concept of realms and rulers, right?
Of what?
realms and
Realms
rulers.
and rulers.
Yeah. Yeah,
As
of
in
course I'm familiar with
The
it.
words realm and ruler. Yeah.
So
No,
in-
no, not even just realms and the words realms and ruler. He's talking about the first 3 days of creation versus the last 3 days of creation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Let's know this.
So, for those of you who don't know, and all two people watching this, if you don't know this, the first 3 days of creation, you have what? Separating light from the darkness.
Yes.
Yep.
Separating the air.
Light from darkness, separating the separating the waters of the earth from the sky, and then
Yep.
separating the land from the waters.
So these are the three realms. Then you have the rulers that are made: sun and moon and stars, fish and birds,
Mm-hmm.
beasts, livestock, and plant life, I think.
Right. Okay.
So you have realms
Correct.
and their rulers. And this is God's ordered world,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
So, what if your magic system is based, you said it's for order, right?
Yes.
What if the magic is tapping into the ruler of the appropriate realm you are attempting to influence, either through direct communication or by emulation? I don't want to get into the specifics of that because the problem with direct communication is that gets into too close to demon summoning.
Right.
We might not want to go there. We might want to instead go, I shall emulate the platonic form of the bird.
Right.
If I'm trying to work in the domain of air or of sky, right?
Yeah.
This is
That's a good
important.
idea.
Wait, it gets funnier.
Okay.
What then is the sentient sourdough starter's realm? Hospitality.
Oh,
Hospitality.
yes. Brilliant.
The sentient sourdough starters, a ruler of the realm of hospitality, because he makes
Oh,
bread.
that's brilliant. That's awesome.
Which then means that the advice that the sourdough starter is giving would be related to hospitality. It would be related to interpersonal connection. It would be related to that.
Oh. He's giving the best dating advice.
Now,
That's awesome.
and so you could have a funny moment where Cornelius or Caradrex or whatever it is, Carathras, is asking the sourdough starter about this girl who clearly is who he doesn't know if she has a thing for him or not, and the sourdough starter is like, you idiot, of course she does. But this is important because this also then ties into your main theme.
Yeah, absolutely.
of the realm of education,
Yep.
who is the ruler in that
Yes.
realm.
Yep. It's the
Yes.
parents.
Yep, exactly. Yes, brilliant.
So you
That
can
is
now
fantastic.
connect everything together into what
Including
you
the
want.
sentient sourdough starter.
Even the sentient sourdough starter. The sentient sourdough tied into
Wait. Hold on a sec. Bros. Does that
What?
mean that reindeer have something to do with actual Christmas? Because we have our real Santa Claus,
Yeah.
Yes.
our real Saint Nicholas.
Reindeer are part of the rulers of realm. Part of the rulers of realm 3 created on day 6.
Mhm.
And part of their specific domain inside of realm 3 is Christmas. Yes, canon accepted.
That is fantastic.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Brendan.
No kidding. That is perfect.
I think the harder I think about it, the less it makes sense. But the more I'm just like, it makes sense. We're fine.
No, but
it's fantastic.
No.
here's
The more I think about it, the more it makes sense.
Same.
It's just making more and more and more sense.
But here's the thing. When it comes to the actual, like, going back to that soft versus hard magic system, the only thing you need to figure out is, like, what are the mechanical elements of casting a spell, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Do you tap into the entity? Do you attempt to emulate the entity? Are you emulating the entity through the land or through the land, through the, we'll call it, ley lines of the world?
Sure.
Or is it something innate because you are made in the image of God? Those are really the only two things you need to figure out. And you can, because of the fact that everything is based off of, stick to that set of rules.
Right.
You can have a totally soft magic system that fits what
how
you're
about
trying
this?
to do.
How about this? So we talked about the idea of mana sort of situation you can get from things that are ordered, beauty, etc. What if part of what that mana actually does to an individual human who is collecting it, for lack of a better term, is it allows them to better communicate with the rulers. So if you have enough mana, you can better communicate with Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, et cetera, and tell them to fly, and they will listen to you. You see what I'm saying?
A warlock.
Oh,
Right.
that's brilliant.
And so
Yeah.
and so that makes the first rulers the hardest to talk to because they're not sentient, but they will obey if you have enough mana. The birds and the fish.
Like giving a dog a treat, and it just so happens that this dog is like very grand in a sense. Are they eating?
I'm not sure that I'm picking up what you're saying, Joshua.
Okay, I'm saying that. Okay, so we've got our rulers are 3 rounds. So we've got basically, Brendan, what did you say? The water, the air, the land, basically, right?
Well, hold on.
No,
but I also
no.
added hospitality.
No, those are realms.
So specific.
Okay.
So the realm, the concept is you have a ruler over a realm, but the realm doesn't have to be land, sea, and sky, or light and darkness, sea and sky, and land. I mean, you could have those 3 be like the prime realms if you want to.
Right.
Yeah.
But you could also allow for there to be more realms beyond that, to even ideas like hospitality, like war. You've heard of gods of war, right? So maybe this whole idea of a god of war would be a ruler of the realm of war.
So rulers. All right. Rulers, by definition, in this case, correct me if I'm wrong, are living entities in the world that are not human.
I think technically, according to the Realms and Rulers interpretation of Genesis 1, humans are rulers of the
Yes,
realm because they're the pinnacle
but they're the ruler of everything,
of
right?
all of the creation. Yeah,
Right.
they
So
are.
in the Adamic sense, you would be tapping into a lesser ruler in order to rule in their realm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's feudal lordship.
Yes, it is feudal lordship. So what I'm saying is talking to a tree is going to require more mana because of its lack of sentience. And then a fish and birds are more alien, so that's a little bit better. And then the closer you get to mammalian, primate, etc., the easier it's going to be to work with those rulers as opposed to the ones that are more alien from us.
Yes, that would logic out.
Yeah, that works really well. How does that affect planets?
Planets are above us because they're heavenly
Stars.
bodies.
Whoa!
Because the planets are the ruler. The planets and the stars, the sun and the moon, are the rulers of the heavens.
Right.
In the realm, in the Realms and Rulers reading of Genesis 1, you have the heavens, the sky, and the land.
So the sun,
Daniel.
moon,
Daniel's got a question.
Go.
Would the moon be the ruler of the ocean?
Ooh.
No, not necessarily.
Not according to the Realms and Rulers reading, but you could. I'm sure that we can find something fun to do with that.
Anyway, go ahead with what you were saying, Brendan.
I just think that like with you have to allow for certain. Okay, so what you could do, like, I don't want to get too hard into this, but you could be a nerd, and let's take illusions.
As being nerds? No way.
Let's take illusions, for example. What is an illusion? An illusion is it is a trickery, right? You are creating an image of something that's not there.
Right.
But what is an image? An image is based off of light.
Right.
So you can make an argument that an illusion spell could fall under the realm of trickery, but it could also fall under the realm of light.
The sun.
Why is this important? Because frankly, the heavenly bodies are so out there that we shouldn't be able to even access them, in my opinion. I don't think we should access them. However, I don't want light to be entirely off the table.
Right.
So perhaps we could have, you could just use fire. If you need light, domain of ruler of fire, go.
Okay.
Right? You could do that, possibly.
Light and
or
air.
You could say, or
fire and air. Or
you could argue that there are just lower spirits that can be tapped into, maybe. I don't know.
I agree with Brendan. We should not be able to tap into those specifically, but I think that there should be sort of like the way we think of medieval alchemists are experimenting on things. I think this should be a category of experimental, for lack of a better term, science and theology that exists in the world, but are not getting into directly with Cornelius and Herodotus.
I'm gonna suggest a very similar thing to what I suggested to Ian earlier today.
Okay.
We should take a lot of inspiration from C.S. Lewis, specifically in the Space Trilogy, with the way that he portrays planets and stars.
Yep.
With the Oyarsa of Paralandra, the Oyarsa of Malacandra, stuff like that.
Yes.
So we could even whole cloth nab the silent planet thing if we wanted to. Not sure how that would work with the version of
with the magic.
like
it wouldn't be silent.
With the mastery that we have. Yeah, it wouldn't be silent anymore.
It'd be the murmuring
But-
planet.
Yes, the murmuring planet. Ooh, I actually really like that, the murmuring planet.
That sounds
He
kinda
doesn't
nice,
he
yeah.
doesn't know the space trilogy, do you, Daniel? The C.S. Lewis space
Me?
trilogy. Have you read that?
No, I haven't read it yet.
I figured. Anyway, what he's talking about is complicated, and we don't have to get into all the details. So go ahead.
But once we do not need to worry about this at all, except for like having it in the back of our minds.
Yes.
But once our world reaches space travel, which will be a lot sooner than we did, I
Yes.
feel like
Maybe about by 100, 200
in our
years.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once they achieve space travel and like are actually able to get to Malacandra, and settle it.
Yeah.
I think that they should be able to tap into the ruler of that that wandering star.
If he's
Mars.
Willing.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Daniel?
I just need to know the first book of the series so I can add it to my.
The 3 books are Out of the Silent
Planet.
Out of the Silent Planet. The second one is Paralandra. And the third is That Hideous Strength. You can read just That Hideous Strength and get 90% of this. They are not as connected as a trilogy, but I'm just saying.
I would actually strongly recommend starting with That Hideous Strength, just because I know you.
Yeah.
And I think that if you start with Out of the Silent Planet, you're not going to make it through for a couple of years.
Yeah. Start with the third one.
If you start with That Hideous Strength, your attention will be, your curiosity will be piqued, and you will be able to go back and actually appreciate what Out of the Silent Planet and Paralandra did. I'm really, I'm the reader that every writer wants to have, because I won't stop reading a book. And I can generally find something interesting in every book. It took me 3 or 4 read-throughs of Out of the Silent Planet to actually like it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to probably wrap there. Let's go ahead and just do a bullet point of what we figured out. The major magic system breakthrough in regard to realms and rulers. I think that is that we now have 2/3 of our magic system. Specific communication to the rulers in the event of casting a spell, that needs to be fleshed out a touch more, but we have an actual connection point to mechanics at this point. This is like the transmission of the system, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Brendan, for that very much. That's the biggest thing we've come up with. We also have our liaison character, currently named Judith, just for the sake of reference. We may change the name. We may keep it. We'll see. We
should at least have it as a middle name, since we've already named her that a little bit.
Agreed. And then we have we've updated Brendan. We're all on the same page for the most part, and we'll be continuing forward in regard to this. We also did a little bit more in regard to the big picture for season 1, because I kind of spouted off what I've been thinking.
Yep.
So those are the main things. You can find that at the end of this episode, Alex, because I know you're going to listen through and whatever else, and those are the main points you need to update.
I'll try to set aside some time before next month, like set aside an entire Saturday to just go through all the Poetry Bootcamp episodes and get them all written down in the Bible.
Fantastic. Okay, anything else from Daniel or Brendan before I do the closeout? You guys, yeah, go ahead, Brendan. No? Okay.
I mean, it's nice being here.
We like having
tough
you.
To get through it all, but it was nice being here.
Nice having you. That magic breakthrough was crazy. Thank you so much for it.
Yes.
You're gonna have to private message me some of what you said about that, because the more I think about it, the more it hurts my head.
We'll get that cleared up after the episode's finished. Everybody, remember, be your family's bard. Do not turn to the right or to the left, and the Lord will be with you wherever you go. We'll see you next time in the trenches on Poets at War.
For the horn was blown in the heart of the night that men should rise and ride, keeping the tryst of a terrible jest, never for long untried. Drinking a dreadful blood for wine, never in cup or can. The death of a deathless dragon, that is the life of a man!
No mamby-pamby beatnik coffee lounges here. This was Poetry Bootcamp. Third Friday of every month on the Poets at War Creative Network. For more, visit joshuadavidling.com.